Despite almost going to bed with tears in my eyes, I'm in a good mood because it finally felt like a good, solid UFC event that had effort put into it, and I just want to talk about it. I just want to talk about these fights. The whole reason we started this show lately, I've been a curmudgeon. I've been trying to be positive, right, talking about fights, and it just takes good events to get me happy and hyped to talk about them. Here I am. Let's go. I'm
Oh
excited
man,
to
so
talk about
we
this.
we had the main event. We had Alexander Volkanovski versus Ilya Topuria. This is actually when we say that we were looking forward to this main event. People were chomping at the bit. We're being serious this time. Like
Yeah,
we
100%.
have
That wasn't
one
sarcasm.
of the up and coming fighters, undefeated, right, in Ilya Topuria, versus
Mhm.
Alexander Volkanovski, somebody that a lot of people considered somebody that was one of the pound for pound best fighters in the world. He
Mhm.
had a couple of losses, but only stepping up into the lightweight division, trying to
Mhm.
reach greatness, trying to achieve greatness.
One of them
Came
on
up,
short notice.
yeah, came up a little short, but had never lost in this division.
No.
Had never lost in this division. So you're like, oh, what's going to happen? Oh my goodness. People talking about Volkanovski's age, so much so that he had to bust out the joke. And, he had that one commercial that was hilarious where he's dressed like an
Yeah.
old man doing old man things. He walks out in the press conference in that old man getup. Man. All right. Let's talk about the fight, I guess.
Yeah. So early on, look, we both predicted Volk to win, but it's not like we didn't think Topuria had a chance. It's still like a very close fight, right? We just both happened to pick Volk. And the reason being was Volk's so good with his leg kicks. And shout out to Jack Slack. He posted a super good article about Topuria's V stepping and shoulder rolls. That's a good read or listen that you should check out. But one of the things he talks about is when someone fights behind their lead shoulder so much, like Topuria does, especially against Josh Emmett, and it's like, was that just for Josh Emmett, or is that also going to be against Volk? Because if it's against Volk, the low kick, the outside low kick is money, and the open side high kick
Mm,
like this is also money, right? That's the two things you want to do. And Volkanovski clearly knew that because he opened up the first round just like open side body kick, open side head kick, just over and over and over again. Step up inside leg kick off the lead leg. I wasn't a big fan of that against someone like Topuria because you're really setting up the right hand for him by doing that. I would have liked to see more outside leg kicks because he's plants so heavy on that lead leg that an open
yeah.
or the closed side, the outside leg kick is really debilitating against someone like Topuria. And you saw it a little bit, but not as much as I wish. But that first round was kind of just like, you know, open side high kicks from Volk that were all blocked really well by Topuria. Um, Low kicks from Topuria that looked really good. The calf kick worked immediately. Like 2 kicks in, you could see a massive well on Volkanovski's calf. And then really, I thought Volk kind of picked it up towards the end of that round and won the round. All three judges gave him the first round. How did you score that first round?
Man, that first round I gave to Volk.
Yeah.
And it almost seemed like Topuria was holding back a little bit in trying
Mhm.
to pick up on what Volk was doing and trying to understand his game plan a little bit and kind
Yeah.
of strategizing on how it is they can close the distance. Um, one of the things that he mentioned afterwards was he had to extend his combinations. He just had to keep on
Mhm.
throwing punches to close that distance, which we ended up seeing later on in the fight.
Yeah.
But then he also started picking up on the fact that when he would come in with a 2 punch combo, he would just skip back head high, and then
Volk
he
would.
would circle out more often to his left, right?
Yeah.
And so he'd come back in, throw a leg kick. Topuria would throw a little combo. Same thing, he moved back, circle out to his left, and then reset.
Mhm.
Very good read by Topuria later on as
Well,
the fight went on.
yeah, and Topuria is so good at. I mean, here's him leaning back, kind of, and getting caught. But Topuria, if you watch that Emmett fight, like he does such a good job of, and again in that Jack Slack article where he attacks, and when he stops attacking, instead of going straight back to reset into his stance, he either pivots and swings around his left to exit out on that angle, which is why the outside leg kick works so well, or he'll shuffle and exit on the right angle, and that is perfect for Volkanovski circling to his left. Because if I
Mhm.
circle away from you to your left and you're exiting your combo by shuffling to your right, you've now just cut me off.
Yep.
So if you're there for it, which Topuria did such a good job of throwing his power shots but not leaving his stance. He stays over his feet really well, and that allowed him eventually in the second round to stay with him and land those extended combinations. Because it's one thing to say, like, I need to extend my combinations, right? But it's
Yeah.
another thing to be able to be composed in long combinations while somebody's exiting. That's hard to do. It's hard to follow somebody and continue throwing without just reaching for your punches, right? Which is when you get countered, like Verdum versus Stipe or something like that, you know?
Yep.
Topuria's ability to stay in his stance, uh, to shuffle to his right to cut off the cage when Volk thinks they're about to enter a clinch situation against the fence. He caught Volk reaching for the plum clinch, and he just sneaks that overhand right, dude. Oh my god, because it, cause like you said, he pushes him up against the fence with a combination, right? And then he steps over to the side to land that big right hand over the top. I guess it was more of a hook, but it was like a rear, so I guess it was overhand. Um, but just so good, so good.
Yeah.
Ganskow
Really good
says, I had a
performance.
ton of people over to watch the fights. I was the lone Ilya supporter. Feels good. I just can't root against Volk. I just
It's
can't.
tough.
Because look, I'm not a huge fan of Ilya's antics outside of the cage. I don't think he's being himself really. I think he's trying to be somebody else.
Mhm.
But in the cage, his performances. How can you not be a fan of his fighting style? You know. So
He's a
it's not
great
like
fighter.
he's such a good fighter, and I kind of liked his. Fuck, just look at Volk just out cold, falling down, looking somewhere else. Looking back to that short
Yeah, his
notice
eyes are open, but
Islam fight.
the light's not on, you know?
Yeah, no, he's back in that decision making process, wishing he didn't take that second Islam fight. Um, but I liked Ilya's reaction a lot to the knockout because once he knocks him out, he puts him out, and you see him as he walks away, the like reality sets in, and there's no more of that bravado. You can't like in that moment, it's too overwhelming to fake that. Like I knew this was going to happen. I was confident. I said I was going to knock him out. This isn't a surprise to me. You see for like 3 seconds him realizing what the fuck just happened, and it's like
Yeah.
that's the Topuria I want to get behind. I want to see more of like the real dude. Obviously, like it's the fight promotion. You got to sell the fights, all that stuff, but it was cool to see someone achieve their goals at the highest level. You know, just it sucks that it's
Yeah.
Volk that has to get knocked out cold for it. Brutal,
And
dude.
I mean, it has to happen with all of our favorite champions at some point in time if they end up sticking around, right? I mean, he's
Yeah,
35 years old now. You had talked about that stat. What was it? 25-1?
2-23 for in UFC
2 and 23. That's
history,
what it was.
champions or in championship bouts, 35-year-olds and above in championship bouts at welterweight and below are 2-23 in championship fights. Now they're 2-24. That
That's
is a
insane, man.
crazy stat.
That's a crazy stat. These young lions coming in, man, and
Especially the lower weight classes, right? Youth is
yeah,
a
yeah.
massive weapon.
My only thing with Topuria, right? And I'm sure you've probably seen the comparisons between like his tattoos with McGregor's,
Yeah,
like
they're
him
the same.
stealing the belt
Yeah.
is like exactly the same thing. Um, the post fight interview
Just
where
have to
he's like,
call
"Look
out
at
of
me
karma.
now, look at me now," and I'm like, "That's literally Leon Edwards' post fight speech, like
Yeah.
a few months ago."
Just be yourself,
You know,
man.
he busted out every cliche under the sun. You know, he's
Yeah.
like, "If you want to do it, you could do it," and I'm just like,
Yeah.
dude, just like you
Be
said, just
you,
be
dog.
you, man. Like,
Yeah.
just let yourself come out. Like he's probably gonna be a great champion for a while, man. He's 15
Yeah.
and 0. He has all the skill sets in the world to have him defend that belt for
Well, he's
years to
not
come.
well, he's gonna be a champion for a long time because he already said that he's not gonna give a title shot to any of the actual contenders. So how is he gonna lose it?
That is true. That is very true. It's like that meme. He's like, "How can you lose a belt if you don't fight
If you don't
anybody?"
defend it.
Yeah.
The Connor method, dude.
But again, when it comes to the skill set, the
Yeah.
power, he showed some fantastic fight IQ last night.
Mhm.
He's the real deal, man. He's the
He's
real
for
deal.
sure the real deal. This is not like a fluke or anything. And I see people saying like, "Oh, Islam cracked Volkanovski's chin. He can't take a shot anymore." And it's like, who takes that shot? Who takes that punch and doesn't go out?
That was
Nobody.
such a hard shot, man. Right on the
That's
chin, right on the button, man.
yeah, that's not about someone not having a chin anymore. That's just he ate a semi truck to the face, dude. Like
Yeah, some would say a
Ganscow says
small
Max was
Ford
earlier
Escort.
next. A small Ford Escort, yeah. What's
Yeah.
a Spanish car? I don't know any Spanish car brands off the top of my head, at
Dude,
least.
maybe a Fiat?
I think that's, Italian, right?
Italian?
Are there any what's the Georgian, car brands? Just to
I
load
don't
up.
think they have
Um,
any. Yeah.
Gansko says Max versus Ilya next. That's what I wanna see. We'll see how Max looks after the beatdown that Gaethje puts on him at UFC 300. He might not be the same Max after that. It's gonna be tough.
You have to do a
Uh,
rematch,
but
right?
but there's some fun stuff. I think they will eventually do the rematch, Volkanovski versus Ilya. But I think Topuria probably. I don't think it's immediate. I think Volk needs to take time off. Topuria's fresh. Get him a title defense before he fights Volk again. Maybe we got Evloev. We got Yair versus Ortega soon. I think next week or the week after. And then you know the winner of that. If it's crazy that Ortega might get a title shot off of that, even though he doesn't have a win over a current UFC fighter. But but then we have Arnold Allen, which I think is a very fun matchup for Topuria because he can defend the takedowns. It's just there's some fun stuff at featherweight. Anytime a dominant champ loses, it's like, whoa, here we go. This might be crazy. This
Oh
might be
yeah, man.
nuts.
Everything starts going like crazy for sure. And that's what makes the sport so exciting too, man.
Yeah, and depressing as fuck because you watch your heroes get knocked out.
Yeah. Regen says I don't want to see Volk go out on several KO losses. I agree, man.
He's already got a couple, and that
I
sucks.
agree.
That
I
already
agree.
sucks.
All right. Congratulations, Ilya Topuria,
Yeah.
Alexander the Great, Volkanovski the Great. Absolutely one of the best
Yeah.
featherweights to ever do it. Now, a few times I heard the consensus around Alexander Volkanovski being the best featherweight ever.
Well, that's the UFC consensus, which we know is just about who they're hyping up now, right? They were trying to say
I don't
Tyron
know.
Woodley was the greatest welterweight. Come on.
I don't know about that, but
Hey everybody, Romero and Will here. Thank you so much for watching that short clip. It's just a small clip of what we covered this last Sunday.
Yeah, if you want to check out the full fight card recap, the link is in the description, and it's going to be on screen at the end here. Don't forget to go back and watch our fighter interviews that we have. And don't forget to tune in live every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and you can join in on the fun.
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It goes a long way. All right, everybody, thanks for watching that short clip from Story of the Fight.